I'm going to call this meeting back to order. Welcome, everyone. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's see. Kim, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. We will start with approval of the agenda. I have no additions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Recognitions. I'm going to start. I want to recognize the student council for having what looked like a really great student council summit for some student councils from all over the state. Matitsi and yeah, I only stayed there about an hour, but it looked like they were having a great time in Newcastle and learning a lot. So bravo to student council. And that will be part of Haley's report that since she's not here too, I'm sure she wanted to report on that. All right. Anyone else? Tyler. Oh, no, sorry. Bryce.
Get that one.
All right, I would echo the first recognition that you've already heard. It was a really cool event that our student council put on for the Northeast Regional Student Council Summit. Yeah, schools like Ten Sleep, Matitsi, Arvada, Claremont, but then we also had Thunder Basin and Campbell County. So we went from schools of 1,600 to schools of 100 K-12. And so it's pretty cool to see that diverse group of students getting together and talking about leadership and how to take ideas back to their schools. So thank you to Presley Fitzwater and Ms. Sunterseer for getting that set up and going. And then my second recognition is for our science department. Today we hosted a Northeast Regional Science Fair. And so I'd like to recognize Zach Beam, Doug Scribner, and Nicholas Peterson for running that. And as well as there's about 30 judges in there who volunteered their time this morning, starting at 8 a.m. to evaluate the students' work. So thank you to all those who judged today.
Thank you. A couple recognitions for you guys. I would recognize Chad Austinson, Maddie Holden, Brandy Evenson, Patricia Miller, and Kristen Giesinger. And without getting too far into the weeds, those guys have just handled some really unique situations for us in our building the last few weeks, and it's just a really good example of people stepping up and helping, and I would say going beyond the normal day-to-day. Along those lines, I would also recognize Nate Smith, Lee Sticky, and Mr. Bryce Hoffman for pulling a rabbit out of a hat last week to make sure that our middle school boys basketball team got to travel to Hewlett. We had some transportation issues and they rose to the occasion, so we appreciate them. And then Bryce and Brandy and I wanted to recognize our counselors. Next week is National School Counselor Week, so we just wanted to give a special shout out to Mrs. Bloom, Mrs. Watt, Mr. Gregory, and Mrs. Gregory, if you didn't realize that, but Andrea Gregory has been doing an internship with us too, and we just appreciate those four people and all they do for our buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Adam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to thank Bryson Tiedemann. Sophia, who works in the maintenance department, her husband has come in 2 weekends ago on a Saturday and shoveled with Sophie all day while there was a something tournament. I don't remember what it was. And then come in on Sunday to get ready for Monday with a snowstorm. And then he come in again last weekend or last week on a Monday, whatever it was, whenever we got snow. He come in at 4 a.m. with her and helped us get everything opened up. So it's appreciated.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else? Paul.
I would like to recognize Mrs. Scribner and the FCCLA for providing a wonderful breakfast for the judges at the science fair this morning. It was fantastic.
Awesome. And I'd also like to thank everybody who helped set up for the town hall Monday night. And thanks in advance for helping us next Monday too. Anyone else for recognitions? Visitors' comments. Pam Galtieri.
Got it. Thank you. Well, huh? Okay. Well, first off, thank you for letting me come and speak with y'all. I'm here in regards to an event that's coming this summer in July, and Sandy is the president of our little group here. But it is the Newcastle Classic Summer
Classic races.
that's coming in July, the 16th through the 20th. We did speak with a couple of you already in regards to this, but I think there was a little bit more information that was needed. This event came to us because of some things that have changed in Sturgis. They had a situation where they have an interim mayor that has dropped a lot of their events that are going to be taking place in Sturgis. And one of those events was the Corvette show that takes place right after the motorcycle rally. And they got in touch with Sandy because she used to be the former president of the chamber here. And then she got in touch with me and I said, yes, we can make this happen. And so we are now looking at bringing a car event to Newcastle. It is not just a one-day event. It is from the 16th through the 20th in July. It's autocross as well as drag racing. It's already been presented to City Council and the Weston County Commissioners with a positive feedback from them and the commitment to move forward. And so now what we are coming to you guys for is to see about doing an autocross in the school parking lot. The gentleman, what is Richard with? What company?
He just does his own. He has his own drag racing and shop that he does
Right.
all over the US. That's what he does.
But the group that does the autocross.
Oh, that's what they're called, the
Yeah.
autocross racing team.
Okay, so the autocross racing team, they came out here to take a look at the high school parking lot and the other areas in Newcastle to see if our area will work for this event. And they do, it does work. Brad LaCroix was able to meet with them a little bit as well as Adam, and ask some questions. And so we want to be able to answer questions for you guys, because I know you know a little bit, but I don't know to what extent that you guys do know. But we would like to try to answer all these questions for you.
Jason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Pam. I apologize. Pam did call me at work and I was going to try to make the 12 o'clock, but unfortunately some things happened at work and I wasn't able to make it. But Brian did get with me after your guys' meeting and it did clear up a few things that I had. There's the only thing that I have is and Brian and I discussed it. It's not so much the speed, but I guess what I refer to the G-forces, all the sharp turns and all of that. My concern is our parking lot is already bad enough where it's in need of repair, and then now to throw that kind of. And it's one thing if cars were just parked in a show and shine, but we're going to actually have cars turning and accelerating and all of that. And unless Adam says that our parking lot can handle that, that would be my concern.
Because I know, I just know how to get in the car, turn the key and go. So when it comes to like auto crossing and things to that factor, I know he was talking about that the course would be designed to the parking lot and for speed, so there wouldn't be tearing up of anything to that factor. Yes, please. I told you to come up here.
That's okay. So when we did ask this, I did ask him, I said, the biggest concern was you guys were talking about divots and things happening. So we did half of the parking lot. And I do believe Brian gave you all,
Right.
or Brad gave you all maps. So we're only going to use, yes. Okay. So we're only going to use half of the parking lot for that. And the cars that are coming in here are not going to they're not tearing it up. What you may get is some tread on the ground. But when they do the turns like that, if they hit a cone, they're not gonna do divots. They can't do that. That's not
Mhm.
part of the autocross. So where the cones are sitting, where the guidelines are going, and the trail that they're doing and how they're turning, you're not gonna get the divots. You're not gonna get the burning up the pavement. And we did ask Brad if specifically if you guys were going to repave that, because we understood that maybe that was in the future, but now it's not. And that was why we asked, so that we didn't tear up a new course. If there's damage to it, or if we see there's damage to it, or you don't like it, then we won't have it again. Here, we'll stop. But he's had it for 28 years where they were at, and they've never had any concrete damage.
And we're talking asphalt pavement
Yeah.
here though, which responds a lot differently to pressure
Well-
in heat. And it will be hot then. That is my concern too, with having paved a whole hundreds and hundreds of miles of road.
Well, as Brad was sitting there, he said, you guys probably get more pill outs from your high school kids that do the pill out on their ground anyway.
So explain to me how the race works then. It's in this rather, fairly small area. Are you just making an oval or is it something?
It would be a course of some kind. I
Okay,
don't
so
know how
that
he would
does-
I don't know how they would set up that course. I do know that the start and the finish would be where the little divot,
The drainage.
the drainage
Yeah.
system. I don't know what it is, but that's where he would have the start and the finish would be on that part. But I don't know what their obstacle course would actually look like.
He's drawn us a map, and I
So-
can get you a map,
Mhm.
but the speed limits at the rate that they're going, it's not going to impede your asphalt, your concrete, your grass, or nothing.
So we're talking 15, 20 miles an hour maybe.
The numbers I got were up to 40.
I can't answer that part.
Okay.
I'll ask him specifically, but
Yeah.
like I said, the speeds that they have on this, because of the insurance and liability, is as fast as they can go when they do the turns, or when they do the obstacles, or when they do the lines, and we'll have that. It's not like what they're gonna do on drag racing, and they're going 160, 170 miles an hour down Main
Right.
Street. It's a whole different entity. These
Yeah.
cars are doing different things.
Yeah. Joe,
I just want to say, I like what this will do for Newcastle. I really do. My only concern is as long as there's something drawn up to where they wouldn't be racing if it wasn't a thrill, and it wouldn't be a thrill if there wasn't some kind of danger to it. So if we do this, I would want to make sure we have something written up that if there is a wreck or there is damage, 100% of that damage is going to be covered.
They do carry their own insurance. And if something were to happen, that insurance would cover, is my understanding.
Yes, the autocross, they have their own liability. If we were to do a waiver, it would void out theirs. And we did speak about it because you would be like the secondary. Is that what they said?
No, what we need is, we need the proof of insurance so that we can send their insurance to our insurance company.
Right. And so, but they do have that. Now, if it was something where the driver themselves had some kind of an accident and then there was damage to the school, it'd be more of a civil. Is that what they were talking about?
Their insurance will cover it.
Yep.
The kids are signing it saying that if we did anything, I think Adams
Mhm.
brought up, well, what happens, because when you get this volume of people that come here to bring something here, and like I said, when you have a big crowd, you don't know what's gonna happen, but we're trying to limit them from going any part of school at all. And he says, what if they break out our $20,000 window? Who's gonna pay for that? And just exactly what our chief of police and our county sheriff said, that's not gonna be there. That is, now you're looking into a civil, because it's now destruction of property.
It would be a criminal matter.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly, Jason, exactly. So that's what you're looking to. Our liability to do this is we try to cover every basis we could on security and on protocol of what we can do to make this happen in the most effective way we can make this happen, to where the liability is ultimately on the driver. Everything's going to be in their pocket. And these guys have done it. These people that are coming, they're coming from everywhere. I've got drivers coming from California, from Canada, from Texas, from Florida. I've got the Penzola high-speed guys that are coming from Florida that are going to sign autographs. We've got people coming from Vegas. This is not a small event. It's the biggest event ever brought to Newcastle. When we did it 2 years ago in Sturgis, we had 1,800 cars and we had 7,000 people. So what I'm counting on, maybe our first year won't be that volume, but we'd like to produce at that volume so that we get the tourism coming through our community. Well, we're so small, we don't have any entities to do that, but I do have sponsors that if this goes off well our first year, they're willing to build us a track. I've got people in place that I'm going to work with after this first year that's going to build us our drag racing track or build us our obstacle track that's willing to sponsor and do that if we can pull it off. Well, we got to have somewhere to start. So we're asking you guys for your help to start somewhere to bring something here.
Billy?
So this autocross track, I'm sure, I don't know if very many of you guys been to the Corvette Rally in Spearfish, but they do the same thing at the college. What it is, it's just a bunch of cones, and I mean, you got corners and straightaways. It's a timed event.
It is.
I mean, if you're looking 360 by 170, yeah, if they get 40 miles per hour, that's pretty quick, I would think, and that small of a distance.
And a lot of these cars that are coming are very valuable cars. They're not cheap. They put a lot of money into these cars. And I'm telling you right now, they don't want to break them because most of them are trailered in. They're not driving them down the highway. So they're going to be very, very, you may have a burnout, which we already discussed, that you may have black tar on your asphalt. But I know when I was in high school, I took my Mustang and I did probably more blackouts than, so it happened.
Anyone else? Bryce?
Have you spoken to the people that live in these houses?
I just spoke with Rose this evening because he was out to eat. But we are gonna talk to all the houses that are down this way and the next block over, just to, out of common courtesy. And
Frequent phone calls from one of those gentlemen.
I'm sure,
Feedback from our students driving, so just.
Yeah.
Something you should do.
yeah, we're planning on doing a lot of talking to as many people as we can, especially businesses down all of Main Street. We're also going to be advertising a Q&A on February 13th at the Pizza Barn. So for the
Awesome.
town.
Do you have anything you'd like to add or tell us what your concerns were?
Cornering in the asphalt, it's gonna be 100 degrees out. If there's something in place that, my fear is if we do blow a corner out, you're talking mid-July, school starts August. How long do we got to fight with an insurance company to replace a parking lot? But at the end of the day, it's up to you guys. It is 100% up to you guys. I'll do whatever you guys want.
Anyone else have questions for Pam, Sandra, or Paul?
Do you have a plan B?
No, there's not a parking lot big enough. If we can't have it here, or we even asked Brad about the elementary school or something to this, we don't. The only other thing that we can do is where my office is. I have contacted the owner of the office and Deckers to see if we could do it in that parking lot there. It just won't hold that volume of cars. The obstacle won't do that. But if we can't have it here, being the biggest parking lot there is, then we're going to have to scratch the autocross because we have nowhere else to go. It's just like our events that we have planned for Saturday night, our banquet and our award ceremony. With the volume of people that we're bringing here, we've already ran into, we don't have an event place big enough to do any of we don't have an event place big enough to even hold the volume of people that we're bringing here to grow our community. So now we have ventured to holding our events downtown on Main Street because we're shutting down Main Street on Friday and Saturday because when the event center only holds 380. Well, we're already at a 3,000 people capacity. We can't hold them in there. So to bring this here, it's like what's that little town? Hewlett or Sturgis.
Right.
They're as big as we are, or maybe not, maybe smaller. And they're doing the same thing. They're bringing stuff into their community and holding these big events. And the community's on their back with them going, let's do it, let's do it. And that's what we're trying to do. But if we don't get the cooperation or the help to do this, we can't run these.
Yeah, we jumped on it as fast as we could because we don't want to lose another big event to Gillette or Sundance or, to another area where it should have been here.
Right.
So
We just don't have the tourist traffic coming through our community to help our businesses and let them go. I'm a realtor. And most of you probably know that I do. And right now we have got 7 businesses down on our main street that are for sale.
Brinkley doesn't play any of those sports, but I know that if she wanted to wrestle or play lacrosse or rugby or something, I would be very glad that she has it to where she could do it with women and not with the men.
Did you see it, Sonia? Blowing up
What's
this
that?
fast and this big? Did you? I mean, you're.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I know that girls have wanted to have that opportunity to do that. And so, it's daunting to think about wrestling boys. And it's tough when you go into a sport pretty much knowing that there's no way I'm going to win, and to keep at it and keep passionate about it. And so to have your own division where you're wrestling against, women, because like Alexis said, it's biology. The boys are going to be stronger in high school than you are, no matter how good you are.
You probably know that I do. And right now we have got 7 businesses down on our main street that are for sale. What's happening to our community? As a realtor, and I get phone calls and saying, well, I'd buy that building, but you got 7 of them for sale. Why is everybody wanting to leave Newcastle? Why is there nothing there? What's wrong with Newcastle? And then 10 years ago, we had the little article in the paper that said, don't stop at Newcastle with your motorcycle. They'll do nothing but give you tickets and run you out. We want to change that persona of what our little community is. And the only way we can do that is with everybody helping. And I'm sorry that your parking lot's the only one that's going to work for this. And maybe you don't want to, or maybe this isn't an event that you want to bring here. But if you give us an alternative somewhere else to go, I'd be happy to explore that.
I just asked if you had
I
a
know.
plan B. I didn't know what I did.
you got the encyclopedia. Okay?
I'm really passionate about this because I think we just need something.
I think
Tyler.
it's-
Madam Chair, I know some of the board has met with Ryan and stuff, but I was unfortunate not to be one of those due to a medical reason. I know the board had discussed at a previous meeting the focus on the beer garden and security about not letting alcohol onto school property. Was that issue resolved, or security is resolved for that?
We have talked with Search and Rescue as well as the warden up at the honor camp. And the honor camp has correctional officers up there, and Search and Rescue has members there that will work with the sheriff and the chief of police to have extra security to help us out. And they will work on their plan of action. But we will have extra security for our event on how they work with the sheriff and stuff to that factor. We're not in on that plan yet. But we will have all of that in place, as well as extra security at wherever we have the beer gardens at. And then we do have a plan of action for checking IDs and having certain bans for that as well.
So they're going to be snow gated in. So all the beer gardens are going to be enclosed. There's only going to be one way in and one way out of a beer garden. They're going to have the snow fences up around them. And then we'll have 2 officers on each corner is what our plan is. And so in order for you to get in the beer garden or out of the beer garden, you've got to have a certain color. We've already got our bands ready. But if you're going in the beer garden, you can't leave. And if you walk out with a beer, then you are going to be.
And any of the drivers that purchase a beer gets their band cut off, and you can't drive if you don't have a certain band.
Yeah.
So.
Except I do have one question real quick too, is there's usually a whole lot of vendors follow these kind of events around. Are those to be downtown and none of those except the beer garden on or near the school?
No, there would be we talked with Mr. LaCroix a little bit about giving locals the opportunity to have a vendor space first. So like if the Booster Club or one of the like student council or somebody wanted to have some kind of a concession stand or something, that they could fill those spots first. And then we would open it up to food trucks and things to that factor. And then we would have those available as well.
So
At
they'll
our
be here.
at our event, we were hoping in the parking lot, in the district parking lot.
Oh, okay.
And
All
but
right.
the beer garden would
Gotcha.
be on the city street,
Right.
and then that would be gated in.
So just to answer your question, as to date right now, we've got 71 vendors that have called to be part of our unit.
Jason. Thank you.
So part of that, as they were alluded to in the pits, it is going to be zero alcohol if they are found with alcohol in the pits. And I can't remember if Brian said because of the circuit, they're disqualified through the whole circuit for the year or whatever. So there are consequences. That was one of my original concerns, was part of the alcohol. But as I got to talking to a few other people, you can't tell me during football games on a Friday night, people ain't going out to their truck. It's not going to be any different than that. There are, again, search and rescue, I believe Brian said, will be posting up as the security around there. As Pam alluded to, different bands signify this person cannot have alcohol. So there are steps in trying to combat that. And for clarification, Pam, it was my understanding that if the school wanted to sell things there, they would not take their portion of the fee. It'll be 100%. So if the school sold stuff, the vendor wouldn't get their 10% or whatever that magic number was. Those students would get the full amount, was my understanding.
Yeah, they would just have a registration fee and that's it. Everything else is 100% theirs.
Okay.
And the reason is we charge them $100 per person that comes on. And this was to go to Adams to help him out. But any vendor that comes pays $100. We keep 50. We'll give 50 back if they clean up their area.
Billy.
So do you have a cutoff for number of vendors you're gonna allow?
Well, we got to see the parking lot.
Well, yeah, there's no way 71's gonna fit.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not doing that
No,
many
no,
here.
no.
It's
Yeah.
for Saturday. at
Downtown.
the
Yeah, but
Yeah, we
I
have downtown and then we also
Yeah.
have Dow Park and
yep.
So-
Oh, so the general,
It's gonna be.
you
all
might
over.
just have some here
we'll have some
for
here
autocross
for
day.
autocross day,
Gotcha.
but then we have stuff down.
Okay.
So on the 16th is a Wednesday and on the 17th is Thursday. So 16th, we have people registering. The 17th, we'll still have people registering. But we also have two different poker runs. We have a South Dakota one and a Wyoming one. And then that evening, we have a meet and greet for all the drivers. And then Friday, we're planning the autocross. And then we have on Main Street later that night, we have the car show with a band and we have, People's Choice Award for the cars. And then on Saturday, we have the drag racing down between Second and the Port of Entry. We'll have vendors and music at Dow Park. We'll have vendors up a little bit closer to by the refinery. And then that night we'll have our banquet with a comedian and dinner and prizes and trophies and all of that. And then everybody's on their own for that Sunday. So it's a pretty big event.
So
And it's pretty family oriented too. So we are looking at having things for family to do at Dow Park as well.
So can you run that fee by me again? It's $100 vendor fee.
Well, it's a $50 vendor fee with a $50 deposit. So yes, $100, but the $50, we keep $50 they get back, knowing that their whole area is being cleaned up to
Okay.
kind of help out with
So a deposit, I mean, $50 deposit. And what did you say about giving to Adam?
well, if it's not, an area is not cleaned, either We have,
have a crew that
That
we're
will-
getting
Okay.
together. He wanted to know who was gonna pick.
So
yeah,
I guess I'm played devil's advocate here, but if
So-
we are gonna let you guys do this stuff on our property, I would like to see if we have any school affiliated FBLA booster club to waive that $100 fee. I mean, and the understanding that they'll clean up after themselves. I mean,
But what if they don't? That was the same question that came to us. Why, even though we're using this and it's the taxpayers' parking lot.
if
right?
if our kids don't clean up after themselves, I'm pretty sure our advisors will hold them accountable.
Okay.
I mean, don't you guys think?
yeah,
Brad, do you
Yeah.
think?
They're-
I mean, we can put that
yeah.
we
I
can
mean,
put that in the stipulation that the advisor, whoever is in charge.
I have several staff members that have volunteered there Friday to help chaperone.
I mean, even if as a school board, I can help too. I mean, chaperone, my kid would probably be there. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see that fee. We're donating and I mean, what a great way for the booster club for some of these guys going and, trips in the summer, National FBLA, FFA, Student
I
Council.
absolutely agree with you, and I believe Sandy does too, but we have to take it to our board, and I'm sure we're gonna be meeting next week, so I'm sure they'll say the same thing, but
Okay.
we'll get back to you on that.
And just to clarify, that is not money going to Adam. That is money
Going
for
The
cleanup by the school maintenance department if necessary. I wanted to
About
be
to get a
really,
whole bunch of new friends.
I want to be really clear about that. I didn't want to think Adam was double dipping.
Yeah,
Jason.
And again, Pam, correct me, this company has its own trash receptacles, but I think the city was gonna offer the bigger one for them to dump stuff into.
Yes,
So
that is correct. They do have their own, plus the city is gonna work with us as well.
Any other questions? And one more clarification is this is on the agenda for the rec board following this board meeting. We just didn't want you guys to have to stay that long, so that's why we're doing this discussion now. Jason,
what is our deadline?
We,
as
Well,
soon as
if we-
possible.
yeah,
So the only reason we're holding up now for our advertising is because we can't advertise this if we don't have a clarification to do the thing. And we're stuck in we were gonna advertise, we're still waiting to get our advertisement out there so we can get clarification on how many is coming. We can't until we know where we're gonna hold things.
And I will say, our agenda says July 12th through the 20th, but it's actually the 16th, correct?
correct.
You want to note that, Joe? Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
So we can try and advertise this because
It's on the agenda to vote on tonight for rec board.
Madam Chair, so one of the things that I'm still waiting from the gentleman that we met with was the insurance.
Insurance. And now,
So that Angie then can forward it to ours, and I don't believe we've received that yet. Have we?
and that motion can be brought with that caveat as well.
Okay.
That it would be
We'll get in touch with Richard.
either approved pending receipt and confirmation of that by our insurance. So
Perfect. Thank you.
thanks so much for being here and answering all our questions. And the map helped a lot. Yay for visual learners, right? All right. Any other visitors' comments? Seeing none, we'll go to action items, the consent agenda. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We have no old business. New business is our second quarter financial report. And Mr. LaCroix has a recommendation. Angie has a recommendation, sorry.
I can make the recommendation to approve it, but you should hear it first.
Okay. Angie,
Okay, so you have the second quarter financial report in front of you. Everything looks on track. I'm not going to go through piece by piece. But I do have some notes. Just for new board members, the payments come from the foundation payments come from the state, and then we get the tax payments from the county treasurer, and then interest from the bank. That's our revenue. Maintenance maintains the building and ground. That's what those expenses are. Food service, we have reimbursed the general fund wages for food service through September. Outstanding for October, November, December is $80,565.17. Just a little information. The recreation district gets the revenue from the 1 mill, and the expenditures include quarter pool utilities, pool wages, and the community rec director's wages. And I'm not trying to just talk to you, Tyler, but just so you know, and Susie, if she's on. But EWC BOCES, the revenue is from a 1/2 mil, and those expenditures include expenses for the concurrent and dual enrollment classes and a portion of Kim's wages. And then we take care of that at the end. If there's anything left, we reimburse the general fund for Kim's wages. Major maintenance fund is revenue from interest income and the state construction payments. Those are paid quarterly, and then expenses are based on the facilities plan. The board, I know last meeting, the board expense, your budget is 107,000 and you're at 58,928. And then we just had to write a check for the election costs for 2024, and that was a little over $10,000. Just so you know. Yes.
Wow.
So,
Holy cow.
yeah. But
That's a
so
lot for
I will
food
submit the
service.
receipts from the beef processing, and we will get half of that back, which is about $4,300 once I get those submitted for the school protein enhancement project grant. In December, there were 3 staff that were awarded the $4,000 national board certification monies, and then we get reimbursed for that in February. So those are just some highlights of the
Tyler,
questions.
do you have any questions that she didn't clarify for you?
I don't, Madam Chair. I actually
Okay.
kind of went over this a little bit when CeeLo sent us our board packets, and I kind of understand some of it. So
Yep. All right. Well, don't be afraid to ask. We all were new once. Jason.
And Madam Chair, if this isn't the appropriate time to address this question, please let me know. Because it is a financial question. So with the new executive orders, I believe all federal funding has been stopped. We have some positions that are funded. Where are we at? What is our position on that? Or how is that going to affect the payroll of said employees?
The courts have stayed that order.
Okay, I haven't. That's why I asked. I haven't seen the latest, so
The federal one, yeah, the courts have stayed that order.
thank you.
So it was being reversed today.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
No, and from what the state has said is that money's already allocated to the state for this year, so we should be fine.
Well, and I knew that was going to be the legal fight. It was already allocated in previous
Right.
budgets. So, but
and there's pretty obviously some things that if they are accomplished in the legislature at this point will end up in court as well. They don't have money to fund schools, but they have money to go to court. So I guess that's what they're going to do. Does anyone have any questions about our second quarter financial report? We have a motion to approve.
second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the second quarter financial report. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, we're gonna do Haley's report from Student Council is there's a silent basket auction to be used to cover medical expenses for an individual. Saturday, February 8th, during the home game versus Douglas and the home girls, or the home basketball game and the girls wrestling tournament. The auction begins at noon in front of the Dougie Dome. And if anyone would like to donate a basket, to let them know. And I know they're having a blood drive too. Do you know another?
No, I just want to know, do we need we'll probably put together a basket, correct? As a school board. I think it's what we've done in the past, haven't we?
I made one on our behalf before too.
Would you be willing to do that? Okay. Would you?
You can,
Okay. Then just let us know what, how much each person needs to donate.
okay, so we'll put Dana and Dana in charge of that. How's that? All right, directors. Adam, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have much. The SFD still hasn't made any decision on the long term. Sorry, the SFD still has not made any decision on what they're going to do with the HVAC contract. We were changing oil and skid steer yesterday, found a coolant leak. It's at Sundance right now.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
We were changing oil and skid steer yesterday, found a coolant leak. It's at Sundance right now. They got to pull the engine to get to the coolant leak. Going to run about $6,000. Going to have to come out of general fund maintenance. We don't have a choice. We got to have the machine. So it's over there now. Should have it back within a couple weeks, hopefully. And they said 6,000 would be the high side. They thought 5,000 to 6,000. The shop job's 32 hours at a minimum. So, I don't remember what day, Monday, maybe. I got a phone call that afternoon that there's a hole in the slide at the elementary school. So I watched video, kids are sliding on it, and pretty soon you can see them go get a teacher, and they weren't doing nothing, just a hole the size of a softball is now at the bottom. So I got a hold of, Colby, who put in the stuff for us this last fall at the beginning of the school year, got a hold of the company that installed it before. They're trying to warranty it, even though it's 20 years old. They're trying to say it's less than 10 years old, so that they'll cover it under warranty. If he can talk them into that, he's going to come install it for free because he's coming to do some other work anyway. If they won't warranty it, he'll still install it for free, but the slides will cost between $1,700 and $2,500 for the set of slides. 17 to 25.
1,000, not 100.
500, no.
100. Oh,
1,700,
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. I feel better.
No, it's only like a 6 foot tall
Okay.
set of slides.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. Phew.
Last week, one of the new pool boilers failed. It's been in for 9 months. They are going to warranty the parts for sure. They told me today they don't know if they're going to warranty the work. I assured them that they were going to warranty the work. So hopefully that's all warranty, but it's 6 to 8 weeks out on parts. So right now, each pool has 2 boilers. Right now, one of the pool is running off 1 boiler, which isn't a problem unless that boiler fails, and then we don't have any boilers for the pool. And it's 6 to 8 weeks out at a minimum. So that's all I got. Jason.
Will you ray of sunshine?
Yeah, pretty soon you guys will just quit calling on me.
Jason.
How much extra strain is that on that? one
So I
boiler?
asked the exact same question today. The plan is when we get the parts, if it's 8 weeks out, we'll run the other boiler at 8 weeks by itself. So then we're back on track of hypothetically them wearing out at the same time. Is the thought process. Right now to maintain, it's really no strain. They only run one at a time anyway, but they cycle on and off. And they're both there for redundancy for this problem. But the plan is we would make up the exact amount of time to get them back on track.
Anyone else have questions for Adam? Thank you. Bo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually don't have anything unless you guys have questions for me.
No? Yay. Thanks. Tyler? Nothing? Bryce? Angie, you got anything else? Sonia? Thank you. We need those. Sonia? Kim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, I just want to welcome the new board members to our school district. I think this is the first time I've seen you in person here reporting. And I just wanted to share with those of you, some may have already received these booklets in our mailboxes, just bringing awareness to what we're offering through our program, through community education. We have a lot of great classes in place for our adults in the community and have had great participation so far in all of them. And as you can see, we have even some staff members on the front cover of some of our booklets engaging in some of our classes. We just last week, we did registration for the concurrent dual credit, or actually concurrent classes. And so in a month, I will bring back a report with the numbers. We're still inputting all of that information for all of that. And we have several online students too that are taking classes this spring again. And so I'll have all of that in my reports for that. And then we have 2 seniors that will be graduating with their associates this year. So we'll be celebrating them in April. And I'll announce that one of them actually is Haley. So she'll be here and you can celebrate that with her. That is about all I have other than the president of the college. After this legislative session, they are revamping their strategic plan and know it's going to be tough times, all the way through college system too with budget and all of that. And so he's going to be reaching out to our school districts. Some of you may be invited to visit with him. And so that'll be in the near future where he'll be coming to our communities.
Yeah, be sure and let us know.
Yes, yeah, we'll definitely let you know. And does anyone else have any questions? The only other thing, I did attend that 4-day school week session this past Monday. I was just there really to listen and possibly answer any concerns, that anyone would have in regards to our concurrent and dual enrollment and if that would impact. And I've had a meeting with Bryce and we've taken a look at the proposed scheduling and that will have no negative impact with our students in regards to, what we can offer, the amount of credits that they would have to take and jeopardize them receiving their associate degrees. So I also just wanted to make that known to all of you in case you have any community members with those concerns.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few things to update you guys on. Last week, we got 2 new buses in. We have a Type C, which is going to be a route bus, And we have a type D that we ordered 2 years ago that finally came in. So the reason for that is COVID and a lot like Bluebird, a lot of their stuff is going to electric buses. So they're not doing as many, I guess, diesel buses as they have in the past. So that's the reason for that. The other thing, or a couple other things, we do have an old Type D bus we're trying to get rid of. We've had it in the newspaper for silent auction 2 different times, and we've had no one bid on it. So we have 2 different options. One, I contacted the fire department, and I haven't heard back from them. The other option is Whirlwind, to have them scrap it if they can do that. So I'm not sure what direction. If we want to do the fire department, $50. You had your shot, so. Or Whirlwind, so I don't know what the board feels about that.
There's got to be a Partridge family out there somewhere that needs a bus, right?
I mean, I think we as the fire department could chop it up and then
Don't
give it
tell
to
him.
Sean.
Mayor will give you some. Yeah, this bus does not have an engine in it. We pulled the engine and we've been using it for
engine-free.
parts.
Oh, it's a planter.
Well, I'm just trying to get rid of it, so I mean,
$75.
sold.
That's it.
Yeah, that sounds like a planter. Big planter. Big planter.
I'll get with James and have him get hold of you.
Okay, all right. The other thing, I just wanted to update you guys on drivers. As we know in the past, we've been short on drivers. That's nothing new. We knew at some point it was going to bite us on drivers, and it did last week and this week. So as Tyler mentioned earlier, we had to send middle school basketball and 3 Suburbans. We didn't have the drivers. Today, we had to send high school girls wrestling to Riverton and Suburbans. So we've been short. We lost David Taylor at the end of last year. So we're short on that route drivers. We do have some good news. We hired Amanda Kitch. She's going to be a sub driver. She passed her CDL. She's been subbing already. We have 2 other drivers right now we're training to possibly be route drivers. So hopefully we can get them trained and get them on board. And after we get them trained, we have 2 other additional sub drivers that we're going to be hopefully bringing on. But the thing with all the sub drivers that we hired, 2 of them work out at the mine, so it's shift work. The other one works up at the honor camp. So we're trying to piece it together to have coverage with that. So any questions?
Jason.
I probably should already know this answer. Do we have boys and girls sports teams going to the same location but in separate buses? Okay. I didn't know if like wrestling, if they combine some of the tournaments.
Boys and girls like basketball go on the same
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
Wrestling's different because a lot of times they're going to different places.
Okay.
Like this week, Riverton girls, boys are going to Belfouche on, is it Friday? Friday.
Any other questions for Troy? Sean Crabtree.
The only question I got, Troy, is on when we take Suburbans. So I don't know how that falls under DOT and regulations. Do they don't have to be drug tested and all that stuff to drive a Suburban?
The Suburbans, the drivers that have volunteered or doing it are doing a drug test. If it's a teacher, they're not drug tested.
They're not drug tested. I'm just wondering, as a teacher, do they still fall under our insurance for not being drug tested for DOT?
As far as I know, the insurance follows the vehicle.
Okay.
So my understanding is at the beginning of the year, anybody who wishes to use a school vehicle has to fill out the transportation form. If you happen to be somebody who does not meet the qualifications, i.e. speeding tickets, or if you get picked up in the superintendent zone, any of those things, they red flag, they usually let us know. Sometimes you can work them out, and other times we have to tell people that they simply cannot use school vehicles.
So we do they got to go down to or down here to DMV and get the report of their driver's license and put it on.
No, actually, on our school website, we fill out a driving record request, then we submit that to the state, then we get that back.
Okay, I was just trying to get the
Yeah,
rules
you're
figured out.
Sure.
The difference between school, what school's got to go through and what I got to go through.
Yep.
Just trying.
And also,
I
Your
didn't know what
requirements
falls.
would be different, and the CDL is the only thing that permits drug testing in a school.
Okay.
Jason.
Brad, do you think there's going to be a point to where we're going to have to look at our sports and instead of boys and girls going two separate directions, going to the same place in the same bus with teachers in there chaperoning?
Well, I
That's
think,
the High School Activities Association.
can I answer that in my report?
Yes,
Would that be okay? Because
yeah.
it sort of follows in line.
Anything else for Troy to answer? Jason?
Sorry, guys. Troy, has the new requirements, do you think, has that affected or do you think that's kind of, I know in the beginning we were kind of worried about that was going to be a big stumbling block. Do you see that as a stumbling block or is just nobody wanting to do it?
I think it's both. I mean, it does make it tougher to get drivers in, but it really hasn't affected the applicant pool, people applying. So that really hasn't changed.
Sure.
Now, this is a little bit of my report, but truly that's one of the things that I think really is quite frustrating to me is in the legislation right now, there would be no requirement to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're going to have $5,000, 6 hours for a CDL. So yeah, it's quite misleading. And I would say, very disrespectful to educators. And I think that needs to be said in a public meeting, and I own it.
Yeah, it's really appalling the way we have heard so much about accountability over and over and over for school districts and local taxpayers. And now we're going to be giving out a lot of money with absolutely zero accountability. So I will say that publicly to my legislative friends. Okay. Superintendent's report. Mr. LaCroix.
So thanks, Madam Chair. And just real quick, so there are a lot of what ifs, and I think as we think about where we're at and where we're going to be, the biggest hurdle in front of us is what happens legislatively. There's no argument about that. But the other thing really is we're looking at a kindergarten class again that is somewhere at 31, 32, 33 today. So even if there were legislative help, we do have some very big issues. I do think that the school's facilities issue could really impact the use of general fund money that used to go to employees for students. I still don't have any answer at all or direction on the pool venue, which is again about $600,000. I can't imagine insurance is going to get any cheaper. And then at the end of the day, we're going to really try to take care of our people, that take care of our kids. The next 60 days is going to be crucial for where we're going to be with or without a strategic plan.
Hey, any questions for Brad? If anyone needs an email address for your representatives or senators, please contact me. I'll be happy to give
And
them.
please, and I'm glad you said that, but I think it's crucial that you do not do that on school time,
Correct.
on school equipment. I think it's very important to have a voice, but I think the time and the tool that you use is crucial to your message.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding that. Board reports. Jason.
Um, we got with, Brian Farmer and,
WSBA.
yep, WSBA, thank you, and put out, applications for director for BOCES. We had a meeting tonight, executive session. But other than that, again, it's just, financial. I mean, it's tough everywhere, and it's going to be even more trying time. So other than that, that's it.
Dana,
Haven't had a meeting.
haven't had a meeting. All right. WEPT will be meeting on February 19th. We'll be reviewing utilization and rate setting. And one of the ways that we found that we could save some money was to adopt a slightly different network of providers. The number of claims was fewer than 20 for providers that were almost all in the Salt Lake area. None of the claims came from the eastern half of the state. So it doesn't change all the physicians and hospitals and clinics everyone is seeing around here. It has only affected a few specialists but by changing that with Blue Cross Blue Shield, then that is saving WEPT a little bit of money. So several $100,000, which is helpful. Yeah. So we did do that. And that's all I know about WEPT next month. Future agenda items. We'll have first grade readers at our next meeting, one of our favorites. Does anyone else have future agenda items that you would like to add for next time? No. All right. NSBA dues. I personally do use their resources quite a bit, especially when looking at federal legislation, their lobbying efforts and their analysis of U.S. Department of Ed work and what Congress is doing is extremely helpful to me. But I read a lot of the other things too. And I think they're well worth $900 just for lobbying. Is extremely helpful to me, but I read a lot of the other things too. And I think they're well worth $900 just for lobbying. Jason.
Madam Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't WSBA pull out
They did.
supporting NSBA? Okay.
Yeah, they're with another organization, and I checked out their resources are not nearly as good, in my opinion. I checked them out several times, but does anyone have anything to say about those? I think especially with new members on board, it's a pretty helpful place. And it's when you search something there, you get a lot of pretty good hits. Some sites you don't, but theirs has been pretty helpful to me. So that is due this month, I believe. Is it this month? So we would need to vote on that now. Billy?
Madam Chair, this is something we're just renewing, right?
Right.
We've been, yeah,
Yeah. We've
We-
been,
we're-
we've belonged
we belonged to it
since I've
last
been
year.
on
and-
here.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay, we have a split vote, so the folks in Zoom have asked if we would do a show of hands. So all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Funding for Special Olympics. Brad.
Yes, Madam Chair. First and foremost, I still have not heard any update from our request that we made earlier to one of our local businesses for sponsorship. However, I just received this. The Area 4 Director is also working on this and has reached out to the 3 families that are particularly interested in this. And they are also looking at different ways of coming up with funding to support a venue like this. You know, my only concern, and Jason, I'll go back to what you asked earlier, is I do think one of the things that if legislation and things continue to go negative, as equally as we look at programming, we're going to have to look at probably backing up on some of our sports programming. It's my understanding that football will no longer be a local control issue. You will have both conference and non-conference games scheduled by the state. I'm assuming that's going to probably impact other sports venues as well. The other thing that I think still concerns me is I continue to hear from referees that if the gun issue is passed where people can conceal carry in a gym, we're probably going to have a referee issue. I'll address some of that when we talk about the calendar issue, because I think some of these things, whether we have a calendar or not that we think is going to match our athletic needs, everyone needs to understand that that is a very fluid situation. And for our kids to participate, you might have to go on Tuesday. You might have to go on a Saturday. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see 3A schools follow suit with the 4A schools, where your Wednesday night, which traditionally has been set aside for your religious groups, is going to be challenged as well, because there's just not enough flexibility in the schedule to continue this pace of activities or requests for activities.
So for Special Olympics for this year, because you're talking about the budget for next year, and I understand that. But for this year, then what we're saying is we don't know if we have the funds to take kids to Jackson if they qualify, correct?
We do not currently have any allocated funds for that.
Okay. And so, and this, I was going to make sure the rest of the board knew, they thought there were going to be 2 or 3 students who would want to participate locally. And we offered to personally pay their registration fees, but if anyone else wants to join us, that's fine. But Billy and I said we would take care of that. So we are still going to let those kids do that, right? The local.
I believe that is already in motion, correct?
Yes, and they're already participating at Terry Peak. And then I think it was the big one at Terry Peak.
Right.
Wasn't it that was
Right, district or
to have them
the one with
compete,
the
it was a
registration fee.
cost to it, yeah.
Yeah,
$100 or something,
it's
yeah.
not the local games
Yep,
here, but kind of,
Yep, yep.
yes.
And they were gonna allow them, so.
Okay. So we know we can get them there. We don't know if we can get them to Jackson. Okay.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Jason,
Madam Chair, what's the cost of funding that? Do we have that number?
yeah, it was on last week. Was it 12, 10? 12,000.
12 or 13,000, okay. What's that?
Attend Jackson.
Right.
The state, Jackson is state. It seemed like it was
And
in
then,
the last packet. You know that.
and that would require, there was just 3
have it.
students?
He has it right there.
It's 5 students?
I
5
think that
students.
was.
So we got 12. And that's 5 students. I mean, that would only require the Suburban. I mean, over the last few years, we've added 2 or whatever, soccer. We now branched off to women's wrestling. We have golf. And I'm not saying those kids aren't deserving of those sports, but you're telling me that we can't find money for Special Olympics?
That's what we talked about last time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we had asked for the list of people who had been contacted. We did never get that. They said that there was a list of people who'd been contacted that we hadn't heard back from before the decision to cancel. Or before the decision that we wouldn't have enough money.
I believe the registration is still open if the board would want to allocate money towards that.
No, that's
Is
not
that-
what I'm saying.
okay, I'm sorry.
saying we were told there were a list of donors contacted who hopefully could help fund the entire thing, including going to Jackson. And we did ask to see the list so some of us could reach out for possible donors as well, and we never did get that. That would be, if we're moving forward for next year, then it would be helpful to know who was contacted and who didn't respond at all and who said no. Thank you.
Thank
Son?
you, Madam Chair. If there's any doubts or anything on this, I'm pretty sure that we can find the money to get our Special Olympics kids to wherever they need to go this year, next year, any year. My 2 companies will definitely donate whatever we have to get these kids to where they need to go. So I don't see money being a problem. It means a lot to these kids, and I say don't even make money an issue. I think there's plenty of people in this community to help out, and I know we're definitely, me and my partners would definitely help out any way we can. So,
Well,
Thank you very much, Sean. We appreciate that. Yeah, this is important to us. These guys, they're one shot to shine at this, and it's pretty important to this board they get to do that.
Madam Chair, I would ask that we find the money to do it.
I say send them and send an invoice to us and we'll figure it out.
Okay, Billy?
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off that. I probably should have done it in the recognitions, but I was not aware of it. But Robert Miller, Richie Miller, however you want to call him, did go help out locally, and he did say if we need a volunteer coach or something like that to go with these kids where we wouldn't have to, he would be more than willing to do something like that too. So we do have that in our back pocket too, if we need someone to go with them or whatever. And he said he'd be willing to do whatever he needed to do for Jackson and stuff like that. And I'll be willing to go to some businesses as well and ask them if they would like to donate, if that would help out.
Okay, so we're all agreed, we still want to not shut that out completely for this year. See if can come in. Okay. Real quick, Bo, I texted you Susie Pillen's number. Would you send her the Zoom link, please? Thank you. All right, anything else about, you'll just stay in touch with us about fundraising and the registration, right? All right, great. Thank you so much. Okay, up next is one of our discussions about withdrawing from the federal section of our food program. And the board member running that is Mr. Fitzwater. Billy?
All right. So I know it's kind of the wrong time of year since we're talking about cuts and stuff like that. So I think this is more of a discussion rather than we're going to do it right away. My understanding, we have to, if we do it, we have to do it by, it was January, wasn't it, Denise?
I will order commodities will have to be ordered by the end of February. So if we don't make a decision and I order all that, then that does have to be paid back and it makes a big mess on my part and the state's part.
So to me, and I, just so everyone understanding this, I don't think this is something we're going to jump into and do it this year, but it is something that after the budgets and stuff to look at. Just some of the questions I know that's been going around, and Denise, you can help me on this. I was able to reach out to about 7 or 8 districts just in the state of Wyoming. One of the biggest questions was, can you still be part of the co-op? And yes, you can. And Brad brought it up a meeting ago. You just because one school, like if a high school and elementary did it, or high school and middle school did it, pull away from it doesn't mean that our elementary school has to.
Correct.
So actually, Sheridan County is one of the districts that some of their schools do, and Sheridan #1, some don't. They said they have, I think 3 that are not, and 2 that are part of it still. So they still do offer free and reduced lunches. I know that was one of the biggest questions. And just some of the prices, 40 cents for breakfast, 50 cents for lunch. They still offer, the Lust did not give me a price, but they did raise their meals a little bit, just depending on age. Yeah, one of them was 5 cents. 30 cents to begin with, and then they went to 5 cents a year, which I mean is a given. Most of them did see an increase in the school lunches.
Meaning an increase in how many kids are eating.
Correct. Yeah. Participation, I guess. Do you remember what some of the other questions were, Denise? That someone,
No, that was pretty
okay.
much.
Just a second, Jason, I'll get and the way I looked at it is, a lot of the schools were very generous about it, and they will talk to us. When they went away from, I guess, the federal funding, they went a la carte. And I will pass this around to everybody, but I do have some pictures of like some of the stuff they were offering, milk, water. And like we've talked about before, and I think Denise talked about it, if we can serve a hamburger for $3 and Maverick's selling the same one for $5. But that's how they supplemented some of the funding that they got, was they went a la carte. They still offer candy, snacks, during breaks and stuff like that. They serve chicken, pizza, hot dogs, chicken nuggets, hamburger, chicken sandwiches, burritos, pretty much everything that the fast food places do. And there was some districts, I guess, that were really kind of hesitant about it. And they said the first couple years, and it's like anything else, it's a process. The first couple years, you're probably going to see the numbers way down. But as you gradually start serving this to the kids, there's more buy-in into it. And especially if you can start serving better meals at the elementary school. The ones that didn't go a la carte, they still offer a la carte and they offer a school meal. Is that what you kind of understand too?
It would be at the high school, middle school level. Yes.
Yeah, they have the a la carte stuff, but they also have like, I don't know, one of them was they did soups in the winter, soups and like a sandwich, a special every day. They seen more buy-in as it went along. They said you start feeding the elementary kids better meals, and they'll start sticking around as they get older and stuff like that. And I know we open campus to 8th graders now and high schoolers. So I mean, me as a parent, if I get a hamburger for $3 here versus $5 at Maverick, kids probably won't like it, but they're probably going to eat here. So, and I can print off all these and let you guys have look at them and stuff. Denise, did you have anything else to add to that?
I really don't. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't know. I've heard like Upton, I've talked to the director up there. They've made up quite a bit of their money in the a la carte, that they've lost from the state. When I started 20 some years ago, we had an a la carte over at the high school.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and we used to bring in probably, because I worked over there to begin with, probably $250, $300 a day just on that a la carte.
Yeah, and one of the districts, and I know the question was, well, some of your smaller districts like Lusk and Upton, but Kimmer, they do it as well, and they have 573 kids enrolled in their district. So I mean, that's kind of a comparable group to us. But I don't know if this is probably the right time to say it or not, but I think our beef donations, we might not be as well next year. Just some kickback. So, yep. I mean, after, talking with them, and which I kind of understand too, that, but that's, like I said, if there's any questions there, I reached out to Kimmer, Fremont County 24, Upton, Lusk, Sheridan number 1, and there was one other, but they just got back to me today and I didn't get it printed, but I'm sure Denise, you probably got contacts too, as well as some other districts that if this is something we really want to look at, I think we can look at it.
Any questions for Billy or Denise or whomever? Jason.
I guess a couple questions, one for Denise, one for Billy probably. Denise, if we were to pull away and then decide it's not working and go back, how hard would that be to get back into the program?
I honestly don't know. I don't think it would be that difficult, especially if we still had one of our schools on it, like the elementary, because we're still connected then.
It would just be a matter of just reapplying.
I
basically.
don't even know that we would have to do that, because we would still have to do everything we do now for the elementary. So we would still be state
Okay.
enrolled with that.
Okay. And then Billy, what was there like an overall general, like this was our major concern?
Yeah, funding was the
Funding,
big thing.
okay.
And I'll kind of piggyback off what Denise was talking about. That's kind of why some of the schools did it, where they just put 1 or 2 schools on it to see what the buy-in, rather than gradually just all of a sudden cut your ties.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
About that's kind of why some of the schools did it, where they just put 1 or 2 schools on it to see what the buy-in, rather than gradually just all of a sudden cut your ties. But the school districts that I did talk to are very pleased that they walked away from it. They've gotten student buy-in, community buy-in and stuff like that. And like I said, they didn't raise their prices, and they were able to feed the kids more and better meals for roughly 25 to 50 cents more. And they still offer free and reduced lunches. I think that was the biggest thing and that is one of the biggest things, this is some of the only meal the kids get. They still want to provide them a meal, and there's still plenty of opportunities for this.
Jason.
Starting to be like Sean. Brad, Denise, I know originally, one of the things that was always relayed to me with this program was the biggest problem or not this program, but the beef donation and stuff. The biggest problem was going to be storage. That was the other district's issues, was we just have more meat than we did storage, and they had to go buy freezers and things. Does the district, the food handling, serve safe, how does that, and I'm just throwing this out there, Troy, so don't freak out. If we had to throw freezers down at the bus barn, is there anything that says, because again, for the serve safe and all of that, is there anything that says we can't do that because of that area? Or do we have locations that we could possibly look at maybe having some donors donate freezers that we can hold more meat?
I don't think there's any issues with it because before the bus barn burned, that's where our commodity freezer was in the bus barn.
They used to run that back and forth all the time.
And freezer space is a problem right now. I just laid on Adam tonight because I got an email today. I've got to take my brown box commodities. I'm looking at 100 and some cases that are coming in tomorrow.
I have that covered, but I should have known that about 10 minutes ago. But I will text. So we do have a plan C, because plan B didn't work. So I do have some freezer space available there. We actually have looked into what it would
Sorry.
to buy an additional freezer, and even a place to install it, i.e. rent one, In fact, CeeLo found one today in nearby community for another $11,000, that we could add freezer space right here on the facility.
Talking walk-in or?
It is,
Yeah,
it's a walk-in.
Oh.
Mhm. Yep.
got
There's
tear down.
actually a company that we reached out to in Minneapolis, and they rent them. But for our short-term issue that just came up, one of our local businesses is going to allow us to rent a freezer space a lot closer than we were last time, not close by. But to go back to Billy's comment earlier, we were in a catch-22. We almost outgrew our vision, which we thought was going to be a big problem, but we didn't want to waste beef on the idea that it would freezer burn. And space is an issue. So all of those, I think, need to be looked at when we look at budget and we look at how we're going to move forward. The other thing that I would also let everybody know is there are some drastic changes coming out of the federal level that could impact even some decisions that we think are law today may not necessarily be there tomorrow. And so it's just one of those things. I really do think that next 60-day window could tell us a lot more on the rules, the regs, free and reduced lunch. I mean, I think anything's a possibility right now. And so we just have to watch those every day.
Yeah, if things continue to follow a certain often mentioned document, that document also says that school lunches should be considered an entitlement. So if they follow that with executive orders like they have out of that document for some other things, then there may be no federal assistance for lunches either. And I personally would really love to be doing this year, but not knowing how much of the $80 million that's on the chopping block is going to come out of this district. It's just really hard to think about doing it this year. But I also want to say thank you to you two for doing so much work on this. And thanks to all the districts. I mean, he got in touch with a lot of folks around the state, and they were pretty darn good about helping us with that. So that's always nice.
And one thing I'd like to add too is, and I mean, Denise, you can help me out on this. Commodities are great, but you're getting 100 cases that you ordered 6 months ago, 3 months ago.
I will be getting, and this is just brown box. There's two different commodity things. I haven't even brought in my commodities yet this year because I don't have the space. I've been ordering a box here and there. This is brown box that comes from the state. You don't get it. You order at the beginning of the, like in February, I'll do all this for next year. So it's a guessing game. You don't know when you're going to get it. You don't know how much of it you're going to get. You get an email that month that says we're sending, this is what you can have this month, you know, and you either take it or leave it basically.
And last year you had issues with even receiving commodities, right? You didn't know.
We did. We had a lot of problems with them having them in stock and stuff, and that has been good, a lot better this year.
Okay.
You know, it's just because we didn't have any storage. Cisco's been holding mine for November, December, January, my brown box. You know, and finally, I think they've said we've had enough. You have to take your brown box.
Because I know last year you had talked like it was, I mean, hit or miss if you would get it or not.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that kind of worries me is you're relying on it, and if you don't get it.
And there's still some of that, you know, where last minute you're making a change because you thought it was coming, and then all of a sudden they're calling you saying it's out of stock and it's going to be 3 months before they get it back in.
And
it's just
So is brown box canned goods staple items, or is there produce and dairy and?
No, there's no dairy, no produce. It's canned goods, but it's also some of your other meat products and stuff. It's more of the unprocessed stuff, where the other commodities are your processed, like your chicken patties, your hamburgers, your that kind of thing.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know. Tyler?
Sorry, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Billy. That's kind of making me think of the other issue, but do you know of any districts that walked away from the federal lunch program and then walked back? I know that's hard to know, but I just wonder.
I don't. Everybody I talked to said they're glad they did it. There hasn't been, you know, any walkbacks that I know of. There might be some because I just reached out to people that are away from it, but they said that as far as they knew, there was not anybody in their district that done it.
Any other questions about the food program? Thank you very much. School calendar and the first public meeting from Monday. So we held our town hall to look at our two calendars. The concerns the public had were pretty much the same concerns that we've talked about here. Food security, daycare, capacity, and affordability. Oh gosh. Recruitment and retention of staff, people wanting family time. Just we heard the whole gamut. We did hear from one person working in a 4-day district right now who was very unhappy with it. So, but I would say it was of the. I tried to count a couple times, like 60 to 70 people. At least 3/4 there said they would like to stick with early release Friday style calendar. So, but we'll have another one Monday. Does anyone want to add anything else that I? Brad, do you want to have anything else?
Oh, Madam Chair, I think one of the things that, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the calendar is, there were some, I think, key points, about, doing some things better, whether the calendar assists that or not. That really does pertain to the student learning process, whether that be remediation or acceleration. And I was also quite pleased to hear the number of people that were more concerned about education than they were activities. I thought that was a very positive spin, that, all students are students first, and some of them are athletes, and it's a privilege to do that, and then to do that, what they need to do to stay eligible and part of the teams. So, overall, I guess, it was a pretty strong voice at the elementary. Teachers, really do have some concerns over that day and then how tough Monday could be. I think we all understand that. I think all of us have some adversity in our lives right now. I think there's probably more in front of us when you start talking about, finances, and you talk about staffing, and you talk about school programming. So all of those things are there. And then again, I hate to go back to this, but I do believe there still is a bill out there that basically says and defines what the school calendar is. I don't know if that trumps alternative scheduling or not, but the 165 days, Labor Day, Memorial Day, could actually veto all of this discussion.
Has that been introduced?
It has been introduced.
But isn't it waiting in committee still?
Oh, I wish I could answer
I'm
that.
not sure. I did ask someone who's down there about that, who thought it might be one that dies on the vine because they have so many other things to do, and that one doesn't take any money away from us, so it won't get their attention as fast. And yes, I said that.
Yeah, well, I just throw that out there. Again, it's one of those things that I think it's still important to continue our conversations. It's critical for trying to plan staff development. And I think it's also critical to understand, I mean, as you've heard here and you heard there, the amount of stress that continues to be added to staff with the increase of mandates that are they're unfunded mandates, guys. I'll just real briefly birdwalk, but we were talking about NAEP scores today, and I can remember last year when I mentioned it to several people at the state that I had parents calling and saying, my kid's not going to take NAEP. They've been assessed enough. Well, when your participation rate goes down, your scores go down. Well, I don't know how to get that information through to those that would like to beat us up. And I'll leave that up to the curriculum coordinator because she speaks better about delicate issues than I do.
Well, we will have another meeting next Monday at 6:00 at the auditorium. So we're hoping everyone who's interested will come. We did get quite a few emails as well, and we did get one today. Someone had asked at the meeting Monday, if we had actual scores from 4-day week versus 5-day week kind of things. And we got an email today too. Someone had compiled about
So
those two.
again, thanks to Sonia, but if you just real quick on the back, I guess let's just call it the wall. But on your data boards there in the yellow highlighted areas are our students. And then as you know, the different school districts, whether they're 4-day or not, it's pretty quick to look those up. In reference to the Hot Springs County calendar, I do have a copy of that.
Yeah.
But probably more importantly, I think you need to look at how they structure their Friday to do some of the things that we talked about, either remediation, acceleration, group assemblies, those kinds of things. The only thing I would tell the board, and because I've failed at this several times in my career, if you're going to require students to do those kinds of things, I think it's important to tie credit to it. Now, I'm not saying credit that is towards your core. I'm saying credit that is like an elective that can either help remediation, so it's no different than a summer school. But more importantly, if it is a mentoring or an internship program, or you're going to take math to, you have the standards, but now you're going to really get into applying those kinds of standards, the higher order thinking stuff, that if we do that, you almost need to look at the credit piece to that so that it has an incentive for students. Because our old enhancement wasn't a bad idea. It just failed because it was deemed as, well, we're just beating up the bad kids. We're not doing anything to the good kids. And we don't need that kind of a wedge with our student body,
Yeah,
in my
thanks.
opinion.
This is-
The building principals can speak more to that than I.
And this was helpful to look at too. Anyone else have any calendar input questions? All right, our next public meeting will be Monday. Does anyone have, oh, I do have one more question for Adam. I'm sorry, I almost forgot this. I understood there was a problem with having enough storage space for for all the prom things, but has that been looked at?
Yeah, so it's, I think, been resolved.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just moving, there's plenty of space, just need to move around a little.
I figured you would be the one to know all the nooks and crannies.
That was Brad that took
That
care
was
of that.
Brad. Thank you, Brad. Oh,
One more thing.
go for it, Mr. Krebs.
This is for Joe. The old deckers for freezer space, are those freezers? I mean, do you think we could talk to Par, or you think they're old enough, or it's just an idea?
I wouldn't walk across the floor in that building. I don't see why we couldn't talk to Par. I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of Par or not even
Right,
speaking
I was
as
just
an
wondering if
employee
we
of
could
Par,
ask
but
them, yeah.
I mean, everything I know from them, you can't even, they're real strict on what they will allow to happen on property and off property. I mean,
Right.
you know that.
You'd have to tear it down.
And then
I mean, it
that
was just
whole
an
building
idea.
would probably come down.
Guess, Sean, for another one would be to ask is Deckers as far as what condition they were in when they were leaving, because they haven't been used. Have they even been running? So, I mean, again,
I just did receive confirmation. I do have rental storage available starting tomorrow.
Food.
Yep.
Awesome.
And it's in town.
Good job. All right. Is there anything else to come before this board? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Krell, it's rec board. Mr. Krell, it's rec board.
Did you grab that out of my?
Yeah, it's yours.
New dog.
Okay. I will call the Eastern Weston County Recreation Board to order. Do you have an agenda in front of you? Does anybody have any changes to the agenda?
I do. Don't we have to move the car club thing to the correct dates, the 16th through the 20th?
Please.
Yeah,
That
you
is-
That's my error.
Oh,
I know the date that I gave CeeLo and I don't know why.
Thank you for that. Is there any other corrections that anybody notices? All right, so we'll make the change on under E, item 2, piece A at the very end, July 12th. We'll change that to July 16th through the 20th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Agenda's passed. Does anybody have any recognitions for the rec board? Seeing none, moving on to visitors' comments, staff input, and special programs. Okay, we'll move on to action items. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Consent agenda is passed. Item number 2, old business, car club autocross request. We heard about it earlier. Unless there's any other discussions on it, do I have a motion?
No, he's gonna make the recommendation.
Oh,
Don't
got-
you?
Yeah, I don't know who gives the
You gotta make the recommendation.
Not sure I can, but I'll try. I don't know if it's legal if I do it though. If I can, I'll direct.
Well, here.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to approve the request to allow usage of the high school parking lots and administration building parking lot for an autocross with some food vendors as well, July 16th through the 20th of 2025, pending proper authorization of appropriate liability and injury insurance. Amen.
Thank you for adding that insurance. part.
Do-
Do I have a
just-
second?
No, well, I got a discussion first,
Okay.
We got a second, then you can
Well-
discuss.
but I might want, do we want to put in there about what do I want to call it? The school clubs, if they are a vendor, that they waive the fee?
Oh,
I want to see that in the
so
motion.
a friendly addition, yes, we'll accept that as a friendly addition to the motion.
They waive that vendor fee.
So not just including the insurance, but including waiving of the vendor fee for high school, authorized high school vendor.
I would put it as,
Do high school.
school,
Or-
just school
Or school district, sorry,
associated.
school
clubs.
district.
School association.
Yeah. Is that
Was that
complicated
confusing
enough,
enough for you?
CeeLo?
Keep writing, CeeLo.
Thank you for that. It hasn't been.
They're still discussing something. There might be more to add to the motion.
You're on the board.
That's, I said the liability
You might better.
insurance.
You gotta excuse yourself.
Yeah, no, it was in, it was in the motion that there'd be the approval of the liability insurance. Oh, the fee waiver though? Okay, so
So, Madam,
could we do, We could do two motions,
So,
right?
yeah, you could. If you would, why don't we take action on that and then I can help with the second piece of this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Just on the.
I think
pending-
that will be
pending on-
easier.
pending insurance.
That'll just wait until we
Yes,
figure that one out.
Did you have a second? Okay.
I'll second the
Second,
first.
and then it's okay with the motion maker, so let's vote on that.
Or do we
Okay.
have discussion?
Discussion.
Oh,
Yes.
I guess they can say, so the other day, the deal we talked about picking up garbage, if the wind's blowing and it's over in the football field fences, I understand the vendors are gonna clean up their 10-foot square area. And we could get Boy Scouts, we could get everybody. I would like to see something that is
In writing.
contractual, that they're responsible for this. I also asked them if we could block off behind the bleachers to get back behind the school and like by the VOAG building, going towards the bleachers. That way we could still use the weight room. I got contractors coming to do gym floors, so I gotta have people back there. I would like that somewhere wrote down that they are going to, I don't think we should be responsible to keep people out of that. And if it's not blocked off with concrete barriers, cones aren't gonna do it. People are gonna move cones. There's signs there already and people drive right past them.
Absolutely.
I think all that needs to be in writing before, and
So
it is my opinion, but
Like,
do we have to add that?
no, I think we can just, go ahead, Brett.
So, Mr. Chair, my thought would be, under district policy, you have a usage fee agreement that includes like classrooms, kitchens, all of those kinds of things. Now, it really doesn't address parking. However, if we took that form and I would include that, and my thought would be this, since it's a one-time venue, go ahead and just double your fee for like a gymnasium with the stipulations that, just like they're gonna do, if things are in satisfactory condition, we give the money back. That helps everybody have some skin in the game. You're holding some money, so if the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts don't show up, you've got some money so our staff can go ahead and do that. But I think if you use that, Teresa's an expert at that. She uses the agreement more than I. But I think that policy really does provide you with that kind of guidance where you can write those kinds of things in, because we're not going to have summer programming per se, but the weight room is going to be open and people are going to be working on floors. And so truly, you must keep people out of these areas. And again, it's $400 up front. And if everything is satisfactorily cleaned up, then you get your $400 back. But I do think the idea that our local kids, our local groups that have to so much beat and rely on our community. I mean, if you think about 4,000 people, heck, maybe Close Up doesn't have to go door to door. Maybe the Booster Club doesn't have to rely on their golf tournament. Maybe
or they
FFA,
combine.
FCCLA. I mean,
They
there's,
combine and they
yeah,
just
I
have one
mean,
concession stand and split it 5 or 6 ways. I mean,
absolutely.
so they're not fighting against each other.
And again, I think if they're willing to waive that, then everybody's working together. And then I think your future of building that to move forward is a lot easier when everyone benefits. No one's ripping anybody off. No one's getting filthy rich. But at the end of the day, it's keeping our kids off the streets for having to do vending. I mean, they're not door to door. I hate door to door kinds of fundraising because it does add exposure. So here's your chance. I mean, holy smokes, ask if you can borrow Pinnacle Bank's grill, make 800 hamburgers and charge $25 for the things and a hot dog for 15 and you're good.
I don't know if you could relay the message, Brad, but I would like to see the clubs that agree to do it to work together, rather than so they're not fighting against each other and have
That would
5 or 6.
that would be my hope as well, but
I know.
I will do my darndest.
I would like to see them on school district property versus some other vendor.
Angie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just the insurance, it should suggest that we had a contract of some type with this group, and then they would help us draft it if we needed their help.
Okay,
So,
and that would be the usage form.
Well, no, the usage form is ours. That agreement is supposed to be coming
Okay.
to us from the gentleman that we met with the other day.
Okay.
And I already lost his name. Richard, thank you.
Adam.
I just want everybody to know I'm not a naysayer on the thing. I think it's awesome for the town. And like I told the guy yesterday, my job is to make sure these buildings are ready come school time.
Right.
And I truly do have a fear. Them cars are going to be turning and accelerating on hot asphalt. If it ripples up, everybody has to understand that we can't get a contractor in here the next day to fix it. You're going to start the school year with a tore parking lot. I mean, the community is going to have to understand that's what it is.
Absolutely. Jason?
I'll be the naysayer. Again, that is my concern. You go online and watch videos. It's not the exact same track, but it's the concept of this race. It's not 5 miles an hour going down these. It's as fast as these guys can feel like they can do it. What concerns me is two people from that same meeting have told me two different things. One, I was told it was just mom and pa vehicles that are showing up to do this course. These guys are saying, no, these are cars that are on trailers and souped up vehicles. So again, the cost of, the parking lot's already bad enough. So that's just my take on that.
Thank you. Any other input? Adam?
Just one more, Joe. I think if we move forward with this, we also need to lock that football field up because you're going to have people trying to camp everywhere. If you bring 5,000 people into this town, there's nowhere to stay. You're going to have people pitching tents on people's lawns, and it is going to be a nightmare, I believe. So I think
Absolutely.
with your guys' permission, we ought to lock that track up because if not, people will be trying to camp on it. I promise you, they're going to be trying to camp up on the practice field.
Adam, I would
don't
tell
know
you
who
the
does that.
secret as a maintenance director is this: don't turn off your sprinklers.
Well, I can promise you.
In
they won't.
fact,
Any of them.
when they come in on Wednesday, water it because most people will never set up a tent where there's running water.
We get some of that captured. So if we have to get with the school usage form, because we can capture that in there too, right? Okay.
Yep.
So we have a motion and a second.
Okay, you need to tell.
Okay, Joe, I have to exclude myself because
Yeah.
I got roped in on this board because I
Who's
have
on?
equipment.
The auto.
Okay.
So
Okay. Any other discussion? So we have it properly motioned and seconded for the usage of our grounds for the car club autocross. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
Do we need to do a show of hands for that? Just one. Okay. It's been approved. For your information, does anybody have anything for that? All right, we'll be moving on to discussion items. Increase in pool manager extra duty pay. There's a request to increase the pool manager's extra duty pay to $6,210, and it is currently $3,690. Head coach is $4,890. Do I have a recommendation?
So let me give you a little bit of background. So for the first time in probably 13 years, we actually had a state person show up that inspected the pool and gave us some specific directions about water testing and what we were doing wrong, and has shut the pool down twice. So what we tried to do is we tried to build some more capacity, i.e. with their rules, every time you open the pool, the water's got to be tested. Even in use, it's every 4 hours that it's got to be tested. And at any time that there's a lapse and you start something new, it's got to be tested. So to do that, we asked Teresa and Kathy, who both work in the pool, along with Adam's group, to do that so that we were more in compliance and we weren't being surprised when the pool was being shut down. So with that is this request. My recommendation to the group is to table this at this time and then move it to a budget item as we look at everything that we've basically discussed before. Because I'm not saying that it's not totally justified. I'm just saying right now, when we're really uncertain about where we are with funding, any ad is going to mean that you're going to get that dollar from somewhere else. I do not expect any new money whatsoever. And again, redundantly speaking, we need to get ready for some very, very small class sizes that we have never seen in this district.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Whatsoever. And again, redundantly speaking, we need to get ready for some very, very small class sizes that we have never seen in this district.
Question about the testing. Are they doing pH tests? Is this testing dissolved solids, contaminants?
So it's not too bad. We've also trained our lifeguards and your daughter, but it's pH. The biggest things are chlorine and pH. Those are the things that'll shut down the pool. And Kathy and I went to the certified pool operator school because you can't be in that back room unless you go there. And I mean, Gary pretty much takes care of the maintenance part of it. But if we have to like bump up the machine to add chlorine into the pool or go dump sodium bicarbonate into the pool because alkalinity is bad, that's what we have to do. I haven't found that it's been terrible. It's just an extra step in the day.
Okay, Adam. Sorry, dude.
So a little background, Joe. Here, 2 months ago, we put some new controllers, maybe 3 months ago, in the pool, and that helped alleviate a lot of the problems. Up till that point, it was the old controllers had been in there. They were the original controllers, and it was daily. We were adding chemicals, and it was all on the maintenance guys. We were testing it once a day. Didn't know any better. When this guy come in and told us that we were doing it all wrong, there's no physical way that we, as a maintenance department, could do it. Somebody would have to be assigned there all day. So Teresa and Kathy went. This week we're helping fill in because they're doing some swimming at the high school, but mostly Teresa is doing 95% of the testing, and we're filling in where we're needed now. But the new controllers took a lot of it off all of our shoulders.
Okay.
But it still has to physically be tested.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jason.
I know the pool's different today than it was back in my day here in town. But I remember lifeguards testing and things like that. Now I understand more efficient equipment, things like that. Is that kind of the gist of why they can't?
No, they can test. We've trained them all to test. They can't be in the equipment room to like raise the pH or chlorine. Right.
Yeah.
So Jason, when you did it, there was a thing called the Clorox jug.
Well,
we don't do that anymore.
We just threw stuff in the pool, so.
So in the back room, the lifeguards have all the testing stuff up front. In the back room is all the chemicals. And you can test, anybody can test, but you can't add chemicals unless you've been to that class. And it's a 2-day class down at Casper.
Any other discussion on this?
Mr. Chair, my only question is, since I'm all new to this and it is a budget item, is this like month, year? What's the time period on, like, they're being paid $3,690? Is that every month or is that every year, or how does that work?
It's an extra duty contract. It's for the year.
Jason,
Wish it would.
Mr. Chair, for discussion, during the regular school board meeting, Adam mentioned, the possibility of replacing a slide, $1,700 to $2,500. I'm not sure what our budget is, but I know during the summer and stuff, public uses that during the summer, kids play on it. I wouldn't be opposed to have the rec board, if we have the money, which I can't imagine we don't, do that.
oh, let me think. Can we mark that as do you want to have that as a future agenda item then? So the rec board.
What's our time frame on that slide, Adam?
Hopefully in the next couple days, we find out whether they're going to warranty. If they warranty it, it's going to cost us nothing. If they're not, that's the 17 to 2,500, and it's 2 to 4 weeks out of being installed.
I guess, Mr. Chair, my recommendation would be to make a motion to, if it is not covered in the warranty, that the rec board will pay the 1,700 to 2,500.
I'm going to apologize, but let's back to the agenda. Right now, we're discussing the increase in pool managers' pay. I'm sorry.
My bad. You're right. We got to finish.
So sorry about that. Yeah.
Nope.
Do I need a motion for
No, it's just.
okay. So we're going to table this until the next budget item for our budget meeting. Correct. Before we adjourn,
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that, if the slide is not covered under the warranty, again, that, the $1,700 to $2,500 be paid from the rec board to replace that slide. Again, the reasoning is that slide is utilized by the public, during the summers and after school hours. So I think that would fall under our guidelines as to donate money to said cause or said equipment.
so do I need to ask for a second then on that, or can we go to a discussion before there is a second? Okay, so you have a motion in front of you. Do I have a second for that? Okay, now let's discuss it. Angie, can you tell me, try to look back up in here. Do we have the money to pay for that?
We could probably pay for that. I just want to make sure that the rec board can pay for that.
So,
That's
Mr. Chair, I believe if you look under the bylaws that are set forward with you, I would say it falls under the community recreation. Twofold, I think, yes, the summer. And again, I think with your after school programs, those areas are pretty well used back there. In fact, that little basketball court is used bigger than any big basketball court, because anyone can dunk a basketball out there.
okay. So this, tell me this again. That needs to be the city rec. Is that what you said?
No, you're.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
And Mr. Chair, this is Abby Forwood. I would agree with what Brad said. I think it's appropriate.
Okay,
And Mr. Chair,
yes.
so at the end of the year, we had spent $110,000 for rec district, so looks like we definitely have enough to do that.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion to pay for the slide if it is not covered under warranty for the rec board. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Slide has been passed. As long as warranty doesn't cover
Mr. Chairman, I just had.
it.
Yeah, we could have, should it, that was my error. I never thought of it quite that way, but that was pretty good thinking. The other thing that I just want to put caution into all of you is that equipment's 20 years old. There is a pretty good chance, because Adam has really bad luck, that we can't do anything with it. And, it sounds like it's real easy, just, weld some pieces in there and cut the support pole out. But it's not, because that equipment has to be engineered. And I'm hoping for the best here, but I want to just put it on everybody's radar that there is an outside chance that we have to come back and maybe really look at, again, some grants or some businesses or something, because all this is really hitting about the same time. And that equipment is not cheap. It really isn't. But it is used. I think it's great for young people and their development of their psychomotor skills. So I'm not saying do without it. But in 20 years, well, here, even in a good day, if there is a slide, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to get it here. Go ahead, Adam.
So yeah, the equipment is 20 years old. We had an inspection done on it this fall. And the guy fixed a bunch of issues that was wrong with it. But he did give us the warning that the swings do need replaced. There's some rust on some crossbars that can't be there. Minor stuff, but it is at some point sooner than later all going to have to be replaced. The SFD also gave us a plan of what they see that needs replaced at some point before I got here. They went through all the buildings, looked at everything, wrote us a plan of kind of a time frame of what they were seeing. That playground, what equipment was on it, and I believe it was in the next couple of years. They are expecting it to be replaced. And it would fall under major maintenance, so it wouldn't be, whether it's just the slide or all the entire piece of equipment, is considered a repair, replace, so it would be covered under state major maintenance, not our general fund maintenance budget. Just to keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay. Jason.
Just going to remind you that you use the co-op.
Okay. All right. Had a little couple extra additions there at the end. Is there anything else? All right, meeting adjourned.